First question a lot of new rock tumblers ask is, how do you get a good shine? The number one reason why you're probably not getting a good shine is you're using the grit that came with your tumbler or a low quality polishing grit. You really need to upgrade to something like a polyplastic or a higher quality grit. But then there's a few other reasons. One, you may not have gotten all of the coarse grit cleaned off the rocks and out of the tumbler, and it carried through to your final polish and it's scratching them all up. Another reason is you may not have any filler in there, and filler is really necessary, and that's what I'm going to talk about now. I tumbled these rocks with just these rocks in there so that I could give a good example of what happens if you don't have a good filler. This was not a half to 3/4 full, which is the idea amount of rocks to have in there so that they can help polish each other, and it also did not have any filler in there. So what ended up happening is these are not wet. As you can see, there's a little area that took a very nice shine. The rest of the rock is dull, and this conglomerate has a low spot here that did not shine, but those low spots can be polished and they can get a good shine if you do it correctly. So what happened was when these rocks were polishing, this spot right here was rubbing on the edge of the tumbler as it was going around, and that's why it only polished there. It just polished where it was rubbing. A good example of that is this little rock here. One side is very dull, no shine at all. The other side is flat and it's got a bit of a shine. That is because as this was spinning in the tumbler, this side was rubbing on the side of the barrel and it was polishing it. The other side was not. It was not tumbling around inside the barrel. So you want to make sure that you have your barrel half to 3/4 full. You can tumble with less, but you have to have a lot of filler. Here's an example of a rock that I have polished that was in a full batch. It has a nice little spoon shape, nice little dip in there, but as you can see, I was still able to get a shine down inside of that groove because the tumbler was full of filler. The filler protects the rocks from each other so they don't scratch each other up. It protected the rock from breaking off. It's a nice thin little piece, and the filler helps rub against the rock and give it a nice little polish down inside the grooves. I use two different types of filler. In stage one, I fill the tumbler full enough and I don't use a filler at all. I let the rocks shape each other. As some of the rocks are ready to move on, I put them aside and I fill it up again with new rocks so that stage one is always full enough to tumble. In stage two, I use a ceramic filler. These need to be pre-tumbled. These ones are not pre-tumbled. This is how they come new from the bag. They have to go through stage one so that all the sharp edges are taken off, and then you can put them in stage two and use them to help fill the barrel. In stages 3 and 4, I use plastic tumbling bead. This is why I like to use plastic tumbling beads on my final polish. The beads float, the rocks don't. I can easily clean the beads and get all of the debris to fall to the bottom of the can. The beads are on the top of the jar, so I can just strain them off. Rinse them as many times as I want to, and all the rocks are down here, so they're very easily separated. In stages 3 and 4, they'll last a long time before they wear down. I do not use the same ones in stages 3 and 4. They do absorb some of the grit. As you can see, these are two different colors. These are the ones I use in stage 3, and I keep them separate. I do not carry them over into stage 4. These are the ones I use in stage 4. I threw these back in the tumbler with some other rocks, and now I'm going to show you the final polish on them. Here's that conglomerate with the dull areas. This one here, I actually decided that those pits were too deep and I was not going to keep tumbling it in stage 1 because of how deep they are, so I moved forward knowing that those areas would not polish well. The rest of the rock turned out okay. And here's that little flat one that was dull on one side. I don't know how well you can see that, but it is now shiny. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching.